You don't want them failing within the first 6 to 12 months. That stays with you a long time, and that can shape their leadership ongoing. What you want them to do is actually see that there are measurable things that you can acquire over time and that it is a journey.
What advice would you give for someone in a leadership role that's just appointed a new technical leader into a role to help, that could make the best chance or give them the best chances of success and minimize the chances of failure and get going with that toolbox? And I love that analogy with that toolbox. What would you advise a leader of leaders to do to help their new appointee, their new technical person in a leadership role, looking up this really big hill going, whoa, it looks tough to succeed?
Really sit down with the new leader and ask them what they think success looks like. Often what they see is Mount Everest, and they're harder on themselves than you ever will be. And it's also so you can align some expectations. So when they decide, you say to them, okay, what will the next 3 months look like for you? What will the next 12 months and what will the next 18 months? And even if they're not your direct report or indirect report, but if they're a first-time leader, it's really important you do this. And, when they say, well, I'm going to, have solved world hunger at this park, and then I'm going to have dealt with all the cancer research at this point, and so on and so forth. You go, so why hasn't that been done before? And they go, oh, but I wasn't, I'm just, and you go, okay. So, you want to be grounded with them, and you want to say realistically, like, what would be the one thing you could achieve in the next 3 months that's within your remit that would be really good and we could celebrate? And then building on that, like, what would be the one thing you could do between that 3-month mark and the 6-month mark? Because what you've got to give them is space to grow and develop and work out who they are. And if it's overwhelming at the beginning, there's not a positive outcome. And whether they work directly for you or indirectly for you, I think it's really important that they understand there's not this false pressure from above. And that, in order, you're vested in them being successful as much as they are. And that it is a partnership. So they're not on their own. They will have moments where, and you'll know this as much as I do, you set these unrealistic goals, and it takes a huge amount of courage to either A, front into it and say, didn't make it, or, make it just on time and it not be your best effort. And so you don't want that either, because you don't want them failing within the first 6 to 12 months. That stays with you a long time, and that can shape their leadership ongoing. What you want them to do is actually see that there are measurable things that you can acquire over time and that it is a journey. It doesn't just end. You don't just do 12 months in a role and it's all going to be, perfect and everything's done. It is a journey. It's a journey. Like, I'm still learning stuff every day.
Yeah,
and making mistakes.
Making mistakes, learning from it, getting feedback, being open, taking the step in courage into that thing that you haven't done before, knowing that you'll work it out somehow. Yeah. Well, just one last thing, just to make sure that I haven't missed asking you anything. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I haven't, Dianna? Any last comments you'd like to make?
Yeah. I think we're at a really exciting time. I really love the generation that are coming through. They're not burdened by some of the social conditioning that we had, and I think that's fantastic. And so as leaders, we have a responsibility to embrace that, because a lot of the social conditioning we've had has been reasonably traditional. And, now the number of startups and the number of people who are willing to push boundaries and try different things and explore is a really exciting time. And, when I see new leaders wanting to step forward, I think it's wonderful. There's 2 things that I always give them, and I say to them, learn about the past, not to be burdened by it, but to learn what worked and what didn't work. Because sometimes things that didn't work then doesn't mean they won't work in the future, because the timing is different or the environment is different, and that could be a gift. And the other thing is, when you look at how organisations grow and how things change, it is a bit of a cycle. So you could borrow things that have been done in the past and, leverage them, and that's helpful. But I really do think there is a good movement and there is a real shift. And, I hope by the time my teenagers are, into their middle of their careers, they have seen that shift and they don't come up against a lot of the stuff that you and I, Campbell, we would have seen over our time.